Did you know you can import optimized versions of Revit models right into SketchUp? Here are 5 easy ways to maximize your existing Revit data using SketchUp. The first thing on our list is creating stunning visuals. The first thing to do when creating visuals is always add context in detail. Using the Add Location feature, you can position that imported Revit model in its real-world context. We're able to import 3D buildings, terrain, aerial photographs, and immediately see our Revit model in context. The next step is adding even more detail, and to do so, we're going to utilize SketchUp's 3D Warehouse. It's the largest online library of models in the world that includes everything you can imagine, from trees that you can position on the hillside to people who add life and scale to our visuals, or even things like cars and streetlights. These add the required level of detail needed to create compelling visuals. The model looks okay in context, but to push it to the next level, we will start applying SketchUp's photoreal materials to this Revit model. We can control their metalness, roughness, and 3-dimensional qualities through normal maps and ambient occlusion maps. By pairing these photoreal materials with the added level of context and detail, we've quickly transformed this Revit model into a presentation-ready visual. As we're seeing here, this image can be exported and put into tender documents, pitches for public consultation, or even for your own marketing material. As well as these PBR materials, you'll notice I've also got a sky dome here, or an environment. That is this photoreal sky that we are seeing, which of course looks great and makes our photoreal materials pop. But what it also does is it allows us to create a range of images with different ambiance all within the same model. Here we have a nighttime scene of our landscaped garden. The second use case is making animations. This might be animating a process. For example, animating the installation of our cross-laminated timber structural panels. These have very stringent safety zone requirements that we're able to look at in great detail from a site-wide perspective, or from the view of a construction worker on site, creating a crystal clear communication asset. It could also be a fly-through for inspecting a specific detail. In this case, we're assessing the electrical engineering strategy and its relationship to the cross-laminated timber structure, culminating in how our plant rooms are going to be arranged. Now that we have our strategy clearly presented, it's time to share our model in order to capture feedback. In the newest version of SketchUp, we're able to share our model either via a link or directly via email with a colleague, client, subcontractor, or consultant, allowing them to leave comments in it. In this case, you can see my colleague has joined. We can see her cursor as she navigates through the model and leaves a comment for me. That comment is associated with a piece of geometry and with a view. As such, I can see exactly what she was looking at when she left this comment. She's saying that we need to go up a size on this electrical unit. The capacity is too low. Can you try rearranging the plant room and make sure that it still works with this larger unit size? Which brings us to point 4, which is actioning that feedback and creating design options. So here, we are looking at an isometric view of the plant room in question with the machinery in there. I can also look at it in plan view. When I replace those units with their larger counterparts, we can quickly see that we no longer have the correct and safe distance for fire separation between electrical units or for maintenance access. We're going to need to reorganize this plant room. By using SketchUp's intuitive modeling tools, we can very quickly create multiple design options until we land on something that we think works. We've actioned that feedback. Now we want to present it back to them. Point number 5 is documentation, or creating drawings, specifically utilizing layout, where we can take views from SketchUp and turn them into 2D drawings and documents. In this case, we're going to take a view of that plant room and overlay all of the constraints, setting it out beside the old layout. We're able to tag components and reference their Revit metadata, and add dimensions. We are able to quickly put together a detailed drawing that not only demonstrates our design intent, but also overlays all the constraints we're working against to demonstrate that the design actually works. So whether that's fire escape routes like I'm diagramming here, or its correct maintenance zones and accessibility with turning circles. We can layer it on to produce a rich, informative drawing. In summary, 5 things you can do with a Revit model in SketchUp are create stunning visuals, export animations, share the model to capture feedback, action feedback and quickly iterate design options, create clear, accurate 2D documentation of your model. Contact sales today to start enhancing your Revit models with SketchUp.